Traveling's overrated. Maybe I'm just coping because I didn't get to do that very much when I was younger. I mean, I can count on no, not one hand. And it was more than 5 times that I went on an airplane when I was a minor, but it is overrated, and I don't really understand why a lot of people are obsessed with it. Because there are plenty of girls and some guys that I saw boasting about their travel in their Instagram profiles. So this one girl I went to college with had like a flag emoji for every country she'd been to. And I think I saw another who wrote the number of countries she'd been to, which cool. I'm glad you did something you enjoy. But is it really all that it's cracked up to be? Again, I might be a little biased here. This might be a cope because I don't really get out much. So over the years growing up, it was mostly just day trips to Old Orchard Beach up in Maine or Fun Spot up in New Hampshire. We would never stay overnight anywhere. I think there were a few upstate New York overnight trips before my uncle got divorced, but those were all before I was in elementary school, so I don't really have any memories of that. The only one I can actually remember is my older cousin's first communion, and that's it. That's the only one I can remember from around or before elementary school. I would have been I was in first grade at the time. No, I would have been in kindergarten because that cousin's 2 years ahead of me in school. So yeah, starting with elementary school, the first time I ever stayed overnight anywhere that I could actually remember, I was 9 years old, February vacation. My parents, siblings, aunt, cousin, and I all went to Disney World. That was exciting for me because I had never been on a plane before and I'd never stayed anywhere overnight. From what I remember, it was a nice experience. I remember I chickened out of Mission Mars. Stitch's Great Escape was cool to me because I was a big fan of that movie at the time. It's a Small World annoyed me. Star Tours was awesome. Yeah, I went to one park a day each day. My sister got to ride the initial test of one of the tests of Expedition Everest. And what else can I say? It was fun. We didn't do like the character breakfasts or such, but it was fun. Yeah, fast forward 2 years and I'd go to Florida again, this time just to visit the grandparents. This was early when they got the condo they now call home to this day. I remember the day that we left on our flight. I my fifth grade class had a field trip to the Museum of Science, and I have to say it was a lot of fun going to the Museum of Science, even with the limitations of not being allowed to go to the gift shop. Not that I would actually recommend doing that today, but I got to experience it. I got to experience the Museum of Science again, and then later that day, we got on the flight to my grandparents' place, and we spent a week there doing some stuff, and then got home by the end of the week. Yeah, and then 5 years later, I took my last flight before 2024. When I went with my mom and siblings to visit my grandparents and go to Disney World. So basically, the three Florida trips in my youth were Disney World, grandparents, and Disney World. Yeah, the last time I went to Florida, we took a connecting flight from Logan to JFK and JFK to Tampa, and our flight from JFK to Tampa got delayed so many times. As a result, I stayed awake for 23 consecutive hours from 7 a.m. on Friday to 6 a.m. on Saturday because I did not want to sleep in the airplane seat. It was pretty cool, but it was nothing transformational. Now, maybe that's just because I went to another part of the country, not to a different country, and I didn't really experience the culture of where I went to. But yeah, as I got older, I noticed more of the hassle. First off, there was the massive delays on the JFK flight. Not fun. But yeah, looking back on it, I don't think it's really worth the effort for me in 2025. Basically, my stance has evolved that my stance that I've learned from that is traveling is only really to serve a function. I wouldn't particularly travel just for fun because of the cost and such. It's only worth it to visit family or friends or do something with someone. Because a lot of these things are designed for with groups in mind, not to mention I would prefer having familiar faces in an airplane row section with me instead of randos. Plus, when I was looking at things to do in downtown Tampa, I was thinking, why am I what exactly are they offering here that I can't do in the Boston area? If I want to go see a movie, there's a perfectly good movie theater in the same town that I live in. Actually, probably a better one with better seats and better picture quality. There are perfectly good museums, a zoo, and an aquarium right here in Boston that I could go to if I really wanted to, instead of that. What does Tampa Bay have to offer that Boston doesn't, aside from warm weather in December compared to Boston's cold weather in December? Exactly, nothing. Upstate New York, that served going there served a function. Last year was to attend the birthday party of my cousin's son, to see everyone that I never usually see. But the area doesn't really have anything to offer that the greater Boston area doesn't. Now, Fun Spot was a good place to go for a day because they have arcade games that might not be playable or findable on any of the at home compilations they had over the years. And it's also pretty fun to see the retro arcade cabinets, like how it was meant to be, or rather, how it was originally designed. Now, obviously, some experiences are better with more recent hardware compared to the original. Like, I would not want to have to deal with setting up an actual Atari 2600 and the controller to play through an actual cartridge of Adventure. It might be novel for like an hour, but the novelty would wear off and oh my god, I went through all this for that. Whereas I can just boot up the game. You've seen me in the live streams. Again, Fun Spot was fun. I actually took a trip up there myself in 2021 before I stopped driving, where I stayed the night at a motel that cost me less than $100. It was alright, but between nothing going on the Monday night, like half the places at the area along the beach were closed. Not to mention there wasn't really anyone else who was out there solo like me. Everyone was in their groups. I mean, again, it was a fun novelty, but if I were to go back up there again, I would only go for the day like I did back in the 2000s. Yeah, the last time I went to Old Orchard Beach was to visit my uncle and aunt who happened to be staying up there. Yeah, maybe I'm coping because I wouldn't really be able to cover it, but I don't think I'd be up for staying there overnight anyway. One, I couldn't get any of these videos done, and two, what really is there to do? Okay, there are some things I can do that I can't do here. Like there are rides at the area that I can ride, assuming I'm not too heavy for them at this point in time. But yeah, maybe it's also that no one's really sociable anymore because most people do those things in groups. There's no really meeting people anymore around there. Yeah, and then there's also the travel woes that I heard about out from my other aunt and my brother on Christmas about New York City and Chicago. That's what really sealed the deal for me. Not to mention again the cost. Like for food, I was talking about in the other video about cooking at home. The prices would be exorbitant. Like when I went to Boston on Halloween, I went to the Guy Fieri restaurant. I spent over $50 on burger, fries, soda, a dessert that I didn't even finish, and a tip. Yeah, I'm more inclined to just make a microwave mac and cheese cup and then stick that on top of a burger in the future. 50 plus dollars for that. I mean, that's more than double what I spent at Five Guys the last time I went there. Now, of course, the base price was about $40 because it was about a $10 tip I think I got to. Don't quote me on that. I don't have the receipt anymore. But yeah, travel really is overrated. It should really only serve a function for seeing a family member or a friend, maybe going out and doing something with them. But yeah, Millennium Steam was right about a lot of things being designed for couples, and DBDR about things being like that being designed for groups. The person who wants to go out and do something like that because they don't want to have to wait for their friends to be available, that's me specifically. Some people might not have friends. Some people might, and then the larger your group, the more of a discount they might offer at some point. Not always is, but I know there are generally group discounts for things like that. Now, like I said in another video, they're more than happy to take your money if you are there on your own. But unless you are visiting a friend or family member out of town, or you are hosting a friend or family member from out of town, I'm going to be honest, as traveling is not worth it. It's overrated. Maybe traveling to other countries and experiencing other cultures is different. Comment down below if you're the type of person like those girls I went to college with who brag about the number of countries they've been to in their Instagram profile, or put an emoji for each country's flag. I mean, if you enjoy doing it, more power to you. Me, I look at it as a utility. It is something that we have to do because families live further apart. Like up here in the north, all the a lot of the elderly people just move down to Florida to get away from the cold. I don't blame them, but it results in having to fly 1,200 miles from Boston to wherever in Florida to visit them. Maybe if humans just moved away from cold climates entirely, then that wouldn't be so much of a problem. But I don't see that happening anytime soon. Give this video a like if you agree with me, or give it a dislike if you think I'm coping, or if this is all just one big cope, or if I seem kind of jealous about the fact that I never really got out much and now I seem to just set in my ways. Subscribe for daily videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.